Hello and welcome. I am your host, B. Zelda, and welcome to a brand new episode of Origin Spotlight. We are joined by an incredibly talented guest today, Jason Charles Miller. How are you? Yeah, I like that. It's just like it's not you. You're chock full of talent, head to toe.
Well, thank you. I've tricked you at least, at the very least.
Right. Charmed. Well, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just got back from, it was like a whirlwind of, I was at GaryCon, ran a bunch of games there, a bunch of streams. Then I went to D&D in a castle at Lumley in
That's
Newcastle.
my dream. I'm not even kidding. One day I'm going to get popular, famous enough that they notice me, and I'm going to do D&D. I want to GM. I want to do D&D in a castle. How was it? I know I really detracted, but how was it?
It was awesome. It was really awesome. And there was a funny thing though about my room. I was put in one of like the original rooms, the Earl of Somerset's room, which was great. It was really beautiful, but in order to get into the bathroom, I had to literally like bend over and sort of like, it felt very like, I don't know how short these people were back in the day, but I had to sort of climb into my bathroom. I was terrified that I was going to knock myself out every night, but luckily I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
A couple times.
That just sounds like it's really part of the authentic castle experience, though.
Completely, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have Origins coming up this June, and I understand you're going to be attending. Where can we expect to find you?
You're going to find me all over the place. When I get asked to be a guest at a convention, I tell the organizers, I say, put me to work. Put me wherever you need to put me. So I know I'm going to be in Satine's Storyteller's Guide panel. I know I'm going to be on her live streamed game in front of an audience. I know I'm going to be the musical guest at the costume contest, because when the judges are deliberating, what's the crowd going to do? They're just going to sit there. Well, I'm going to come out and I'm going to sing songs about gelatinous cubes.
Yes.
I'm also going to run some one-shots, and I plan on doing I'm figuring out what my panel is going to be about. I usually run a panel about all of like the crazy adventures I've had working in Hollywood for the last 20 plus years.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Usually I call it Adventures in Hollyweird. But it's a gaming convention, you know, so maybe I'll just do a Q&A about D&D. I haven't decided yet, so we'll be putting that together. Maybe you can give me some suggestions on what people would be most interested in, or we could just do a general Q&A panel. I'm not really sure, but whatever the people want. And then I'll bring merch too if people want autographed photos or whatever. I'm down for that as well. You know, I'm a plethora of different things to do.
Okay, right before we started this call,
yeah,
you're going to be everywhere. So right before we started this call, you're like, yeah, what do you want me to do? I'll do it. I'll do this. I'll do that. Like, suggest some ideas. And I'm thinking like, no way this person actually, you are incredible. You really do. You just want to like spend your time at the con doing everything as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, well, there's a couple reasons for that. One, I never overbook myself. I have some friends, you know, because I am in the RPG world, but I'm also in a voice actor and I'm also a musician. I get booked at a lot of different styles of conventions. I do a lot of anime conventions because I'm in a lot of anime productions.
I love that. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll do gaming conventions. I will do like sort of general fandom conventions. I'll do the general signing conventions, which are sort of a different kind of con. So when I agree to do a con, I do it because I want to be there. So I don't overextend myself. I have some friends that do like 40 cons a year.
Oh my goodness.
Pre-lockdown. Things are opening up now more, but I literally knew a friend. I literally knew a friend where he did 40 conventions a year. And I'm like, how do you do that?
My heart is hurting. Like, that's so much.
So because I don't overextend myself and I do maybe 6 a year, maybe 8 tops, when I'm there, I'm there. So I'm ready to rumble. so to
That
speak.
is excellent. And you are going to be a part of the folks that we will see at the VIG Lounge, and that is our very important gamer. Do you think you'll run some one shots in there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have a one shot that I have written that I wrote for Gary Con a few years ago, and then I also have Steamforged Games makes these great epic encounters,
Yeah.
and those can be designed to be run in like 3 hours. And those are a lot of fun. I know how to run a bunch of those because I work with Steamforged Games. In fact, I just had my first ever adventure published
Oh my goodness.
by
Congrats.
Steamforged. It's in the expansion module of Bard Song, their new game. So
Yes.
trying to get that plug in there. But I'm also proud that I have an adventure published. You know, it's my first published thing.
Hey, that's a big deal.
adventure-wise.
Look at all these boxes you are checking. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll probably run some from them. You know, it'll be and what I like to do too is I like to take pieces from different adventures and mash them up. Whether it's something I'm inspired by, or just something I write complete. It's interesting though. Like Luke Gygax, the first time I did Gary Con, he's like, I'd love for you to run some one shots. Can you make it for 8 people? And at first I was like, 8 people?
That
'Cause
sounds
you know how it is
impossible.
with combat, you got 8 people in combat.
That's
That
4
could take-
hours of combat.
Yeah, exactly. That one combat, a couple of bad rolls, that could take 4 hours. But I was able to run it in 4-hour blocks at GaryCon, and then I went and did a convention for the troops. I went to
my
Ilsen's
goodness.
Air Force Base up in Alaska, and I ran it. For all the airmen up there, and that took 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Because I think we had 10 players, and I was like, let's do it. Let's get 10 people in there. And then if you design it for 8 and then you add a couple more in, it could go all night. But everybody had a great time. We all had a great time.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh my goodness. What is the longest game like the length of time that you've ever played? Because 8 is the max for me.
Yeah, well, at D&D in a Castle, we were just doing 8 hours a day. We had 4-hour chunks. So
Oh
it's
my gosh.
24 hours of D&D in 3 days.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. But it flew by, because when you don't really feel like you have a time limit anymore and you're just playing. I mean, you've probably been to a friend's house to play D&D and, 9 hours later, there you go.
Oh, easily. Easily.
So,
Oh, that's excellent. I completely lost my train of thought. Let's rewind. We were VIG Lounge, one shots you were going to run. So tell me a little bit more, like, how do you manage 8 players in a game? Like that, like, I don't know if you want to run a whole panel on just how you do that.
Right.
6.
You've got to,
6 is pushing it.
I did a game with Mike Merles, and he was the DM, and Matthew Lillard and I want to say that there were 14 or 16 of us.
And you
So
finished the game?
Yeah. He simplified it. It was just like roll, like it was just very quick. He simplified the rules. I don't necessarily do that because I want people to have if they're there to play 5e, I want them to be able to play it. I think it's just it's about pace, and it's about making encounters designed for 8 people. That sort of throws the threat rating out the window.
Yes.
And so because that's designed for 4 to 5 players, so you can put them up against some
like
kind of
CR12? Like
yeah, you can put them up against some more, maybe not 12, but some more challenging monsters than you would think of, and it can actually work. So
that's so impressive. Well, I really hope that I can walk in if you're running that one shot, that I can kind of peek, because I'm just so curious about how that works. And this leads me into my slightly unrelated question, but it still flows. What is your preference, one shot or campaign?
I mean, I love a campaign. I love a long-term campaign where, everyone can kind of really bond and
Your characters really become important.
yeah. But one thing I found later is I am less precious about my characters. I think it's because I've been put into so many one-shot situations where like I'm not as attached to my characters as I used to be. That might just be coming from I don't know.
The amount of games you play?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It
I
doesn't
mean,
mean they're not as great. You know, it's just that I practice the mindfulness of detachment or something.
there's a saying that a lot of people used to tell me when I would play in one shots, and it was like, play your character like you drove, like you just, oh God, I'm going to butcher it. Ride your character like you would ride a stolen car or something to that effect. And it just translated to me to run them into the ground as best as possible. So I took that philosophy with all of my one-shot characters. And if they don't end up in the worst situation, dead or alive, then I feel like I might not have done my job.
Funny.
So what do you want to talk a little bit about what you do for the folks who might be unfamiliar?
Sure. I mean, if you're oh boy.
I don't know where you would start.
Yeah. So I sort of, my first career and still career is that of a professional musician. I've been performing in front of audiences since I was 5 years old.
Oh my goodness.
My old band Godhead had quite a run in the early 2000s, and now I write a lot of music for television shows, for video games, for movies. I wrote the Critical Role theme songs.
Yes.
Appeared on Critical Role. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was like 8 or 10 years old. I'm not sure exactly when. Yeah. So I've played every edition. Yeah. For years, I was a host on Geek and Sundry, where I hosted a show called Starter Kit, where we taught people how to play different role-playing games. Dungeons and Dragons, of course, is my first love, but I've played a lot of different games, although I always seem to come back to D&D. That's sort of my
it's inescapable.
I'm also a J.R.R. Tolkien fanatic, and his writings. And I'm a voice actor. So I was looking at my IMDb page today. I have 138 voice acting credits. So that's not too bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I also sing on some games and shows and stuff like that. So I have music. Most recently, I have music in Cyberpunk 2077. I've sung on 4 songs in Final Fantasy 14. That I know a lot of people are like. I'm the voice of Dritz Duerden in Neverwinter Online. I'm the Klingon computer in Star Trek Online. I'm the redneck Spartan in Halo Infinite.
Oh, so my God!
If you play Halo Infinite multiplayer, I'm the third voice you can pick.
That's incredible.
So, I get around, I guess. But I recently described myself to meeting my adult nephew's girlfriend. I said, I think I'm one of those people that never grew up, but I made a career out of not growing up. Mm-hmm. So here I am.
Quite literally living the dream. Do you have a favorite, I don't know if it's a genre of voice work that you do, be it animation, video game?
Well, original animation is definitely a lot of fun. Video games, I tend to work in a lot more. I think that's just my specialty, and a lot of producers and directors know me in that world. So I tend to work in video games the most recently. But I'm also on 2 Netflix series right now, 2 anime Netflix series. So that Eden Zero, which is out, and then another one that's not out, so I can't say which one I'm in there. But really any video game and anime, original animation. I also narrate, and I also do audiobooks, and those are the ones that probably tire me out the most because I have to concentrate so hard. Mm-hmm. Audiobooks are really, my hat is off to people that do audiobooks full time because you are in the zone. You got to stay in that zone for so long, because if you make a mistake, and you will make a mistake, you immediately have to go back and fix it then. because you can't mark it and be like, oh, I'll go back 2 chapters from now. No, you'll never find that audio. So as you're narrating the book, you've got to fix it right then. And
oh gosh,
for the average narrator, for the average reader, for 1 hour of audiobook that you're listening to, it took that person 3 hours to make that.
Oof.
So
Oof.
it's my mind has to be so focused, and my mind, as you can probably tell, goes everywhere all the time. So video games, animation, that's acting in short bursts, and audiobooks is just like straight going.
Damn. I love the idea of audiobooks. You know, I think like 5 or 10 years ago, that was what I thought I wanted to get into before podcasting became really my jam. But I recently got to record, I narrated a segment of a tabletop book that was coming out.
Right.
And exhausting doesn't even cover it. My mouth would get dry and I'd be like, what do I do? I sound dusty.
Yeah. And you got to know when to take a break, right? So they'll give you a certain amount of time to do it, certain amount of days to do it. And then I feel like it's the sword of Damocles or whatever that he's like, it's like dangling over my head of all times. And I just have to finish doing it. So
no, I vibe with that. I love the idea, but oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. Shout out to people that can do that and do it well.
Shout out. They're a rare breed.
Well, for things that are less exhausting and take a little bit less energy as well, what is your preference when it comes to tabletop games? So you've got D&D, you've got D&D on lockdown, you've played all the editions. I would consider you a D&D professional. Again, you run D&D in a castle. That's peak. But
yeah, I mean, I guess I am a D&D. I guess I am a D&D professional.
Yes.
I also run a game on Luke Gygax's channel called the Gax Pack every Sunday. And then awesome. And also on Tuesdays, I host a show called Bardic Inspiration where we write a song with the audience. This is on the Codename Games channel. We write a song with the audience. They'll give us some suggestions. This is my co-host Dylan Wilkes and I. They'll give us suggestions. What are we going to write about this week? Okay, let's write about orcs. Let's write about goblins. Let's write about hobgoblins. Let's write about a gelatinous cube. Let's write about mind flayers. Let's write about Orcus. And then I'll pick a genre, and then we write the song in 2 hours while people watch. It's kind of insane, but we've done 66 episodes. And then I've already recorded 17 of those songs, and now they're back in the game. So if you play Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, if you see that little jukebox, those are all the songs. Those are all the songs that we wrote with the audience.
That's so cool. Damn it. I had no idea.
And then also, because this is Tuesday, so Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over on Play Renegade, that's Renegade Games, I run the G.I. Joe role-playing stream.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm the game master for the brand new G.I. Joe role-playing game.
Yeah, they just launched that, didn't they?
Yeah. So we've got weeks and weeks more of that adventure, and that's just a ton of fun. And that's a really cool game system, too. It's called the Essence 20 system.
I'm not familiar with that.
It's, without getting too much into the weeds, you know how in a lot of game systems, like as you level up, you get like a plus to what you're going to roll. So in the Essence 20 system, as you level up, you get another die to add to it. So at first it's like just
satisfying.
At first it's 1 to 2, then it's 1d4, 1d6, 1d8. So it puts a little bit more randomness to it, but the higher you get, the better chance you have of success.
That makes sense. I wonder, I just played a game, The Tales of Zadia, based off like that Netflix show, and I feel like the system was very similar. I never got the name of it. So I live and die for TTRPGs that aren't D&D and that don't involve a lot of math. It was the Cortex system. Okay. So same energy, but still different enough. I'm so proud, though. Do you know if the G.I. Joe, do they use the same system for the Power Rangers game that they also came out?
For Power Rangers and for Transformers.
Oh, my God. So. Okay. You have to pick. What is your favorite out of those three?
Well, it's got to be G.I. Joe, because I just went through it, Because I got to be Cobra Commander. You know, you can't put level 1 characters up against Cobra Commander, but Cobra Commander can hack your comms maybe and taunt you.
Oh my god. Yes. That's fantastic. That's something I'm gonna have to tune into. Play Renegade is fantastic. I worked for them just like on and off, and everybody there was just so sweet. And not to mention all their board games. Great. Fantastic.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite board games? Because at Origins, we're going to have the entire board game room. You can pick up and go. VIG will have access to some.
Talisman is still my go-to.
Talisman, that's familiar to me. That sounds like something I've come across quite a few times.
Yeah, there's many different versions of it. They like skin it different ways. So there's like an Arkham Asylum one.
Yes, okay.
And yeah, it's very D&D kind of, the original one too. I was going to say, back to RPGs though, the World of Gamma World was one that that hasn't been played too much lately, but Gamma World always struck me as one that I felt didn't get enough attention. It's a post-apocalyptic, you're all mutants.
Oh, okay. Yeah, TSR.
Everyone's got a weird power, you know?
I love that. Do you have like a favorite genre that you tend to go for, especially when you like brand new TTRPG, you know, let's say there were 10 that were Kickstarted this year. What do you tend to go towards?
I mean, at this point, whatever sparks something a little bit different would be what I would go for on Kickstarter. You know, something unique. We have a game coming out that I actually wrote the soundtrack with Jameson Boaz. We wrote the soundtrack together for you to play while you're playing the game, and that's called Gods of Metal Ragnarok. So we did an hour of metal music for you, of instrumental metal music to play while you're playing the game. And that's a really interesting game where we all live in Mundania, and then we transport ourselves, our avatars go into the world of Ragnarok, where the, you know, epic metal stories from metal songs happen.
Is this based on the anime?
No.
Okay.
It's its own thing.
Okay. That's incredible, though. You have no idea how many times people are like, I wish there was a tabletop game that integrated music through any degree. And so this is something I'm going to be recommending
soon. They had a really successful Kickstarter for it, and it will be out, I think, later this year. I don't know the exact release date yet.
That's fair. And let's be kind to Kickstarter people. Fulfillment and shipping is very stressful, and they are probably doing their best.
It's a thing. Yeah.
I'm waiting on so many things that I ordered like 2 years ago, but it's been a time, you know, and we gotta be kind and we gotta be understanding. Well, any other games that you want to talk about? This is what I could talk about forever. I know I should probably ask pertaining questions about you and your work, but if you want to talk games.
Gosh, I mean,
what have you played recently?
What have I played recently?
I mean, it just sounds like you've been playing like 50 hours of D&D.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like D&D. But I did just play Bard Song, actually, and not only did I write an adventure for that, but I actually got to play the game recently, and that's really fun. That actually has some elements of Talisman, like I was mentioning earlier, where you build out, you know, you build out the map as you go.
I see. Oh my god, that's gorgeous.
There's different ways that you can go. Yeah, you should. Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, I'm on their Kickstarter.
It's really cool.
That's
I'm slightly unprepared. Let me grab my water really quick.
Yeah. You're golden.
Just right here. I just realized I don't have it with me.
Making you talk all this time, and you don't have anything to hydrate yourself.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Also, chop. You can chop this part out too. I'm recovering from COVID right now.
Damn.
So I had it a week ago. So I'm just over it, but it's still lingering.
I hope you're feeling okay.
I got the new X. It's literally called the XE.
The newest variant.
Yeah, I got the XE variant, baby, brand new, direct from London. Because after D&D in a castle, I went to London for 3 days.
Yeah.
And there's no mask mandate. and they're going through a surge in London. So I know I caught it there. I didn't catch it at the castle, but and I tested negative to get on the plane. Thank God, or I would have been stuck there.
Oh God, right?
But I was starting to feel it kick in on the plane. So
the
it's like,
sore
man,
throat,
I just
the
made
fatigue.
it. Yeah, the
Oh my
fatigue, the cough,
gosh.
everything. So
Yeah. Well, I'm
anyway,
glad
just full
you're on the up and up.
disclosure.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're good. You should be drinking lots of water as much as possible. All right. So this was called Bard Song. Yeah, so this looks
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Like what games have you backed this year in Kickstarter? I backed the Gazebo's Bed and Breakfast, super lovely game about a bed and breakfast. Avatar, the Magpie game, Avatar, the RPG, because I love me some children doing magic.
Yeah.
And then Coyote and Crow, because that was an indigenous tabletop game that utilizes
That
like
looks
a
awesome. I
yes.
found out about that after the Kickstarter was over. And I was like, So I'll just have to buy it like everyone else.
Right. I'm waiting to see somebody run that because like I just it's got such cool content. It's anti-colonialist, like it's everything that I objectively enjoy, but now I need to see it presented to me. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I just backed Luke Gygax's new world called Akorum, which is and I think it might be running right now. How
do you spell that, sir?
I think it's Okkorim. Akorum.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would not have searched that. Thank you. That's not what my brain heard.
So it takes place in a society where there was a opulent society that had a major disaster, and now there's all pieces of the old society that you can adventure through and try to find old magic, and it's really cool. I ran a piece of that last year when we were starting the Gax Pack to kind of promote GaryCon 2020.
Okay.
To promote GaryCon 2021 as, it was completely virtual.
Yes. So basically for the past 2 years, we've had cons more or less virtual. I mean, of course, we had a couple in person and that's fine. But how have you enjoyed the shift to everything, like games, particularly being virtual?
At first, I think a lot of us were resistant to it. We're like, oh, it's not the same. We can't really do it the same. And then now I'm really used to it. So it's just a different way of focusing yourself. I'm happy to game remotely. I'm in a home game or a private game with people all across the country right now because we all just play on Zoom.
That's incredible. I love that. I started off with online games before, like 3 years before the Great Panini. So there was no shift to me, but I don't have the ability to play games in person very well because those are skills that you pick up. There's a certain amount of socialization. There's a certain amount of camaraderie. There's more table talk versus when you're doing it virtual. Your table talk might be the chat in the Zoom, a small conversation on Discord. So I found that the differences to be distinct enough.
PM to the DM, here's what my character is doing,
Yes. Instead of having to be like, hey, can we get up and talk over there? You gotta it's very different. All right. Well, I don't have a whole lot more prepared. Is there anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, later today, another episode of the G.I. Joe actual play stream will be coming on Play Renegade. I am also a very active Twitch streamer myself, so I have my own channel, which is just my name, Jason Charles Miller. I mainly sing on there. And then occasionally I'll run D&D games on my own channel, but you'll find me all over the place on the GaryCon Live channel, on the Codename Games channel, on my own channel, and on the Play Renegade channel. So I think that's about it for right now.
Fabulous. Okay. I got my brain thinking. So when I see what Origins, is there ever been a type of tabletop game that you've wanted to play but have never had the opportunity? Because when I do indie games. I'm the community manager for D&D Adventures League, but I love indie games. Has there ever been like a genre, like a kitty cat tea party, princesses fighting demons?
No, you know what I'd like to play is Twilight Imperium. That's
Ah!
like you could, we'll start on Wednesday night and we'll finish it on Monday.
I can't play that. I have the attention span for 2 hours.
Well, as long as I could I play, make my move, and then come back 4 hours later? Because it feels like it's that kind of game.
Yes, that sounds about right.
If there's a Twilight Imperium game running, maybe we can figure that out. As long as I'm not held to. Well, I mean, maybe, I'll set my alarm, come back 3 hours later, make my move with my ships, and then leave again, and then come back.
Whoever's like sitting at the table, if they want to text, be like, "Hey, it's 10 minutes before your turn."
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how badly I want this setup, because I cannot sit at a table for that long. But if I could get up, go, come back, make my, and it's gonna take me some time to make my move. But if you could apply that time, and then we're on to something. Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And for folks who are tuning in just now, I do want to mention that the hotel block has been opened. You should be able to book your hotels. VIGs, y'all got it first. Everybody else, you have access to this information now. There are some more great things to look forward to. We have badge registrations open. Make sure you get that. But most importantly, take a peek at some of the events that have been posted on tabletop.events. There are some great things that y'all need to get your hands on. There are going to be places you want to be, things you want to see, games that you want to play. Now is the time to start looking. Get your hotel, start registering for events, and the rest will come. And Jason, you have been just fantastic. I just thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, this has been fun, and I'm really looking forward to the convention. I've known about it my entire life, like I was saying earlier.
I meant to mention that. So what has been your first convention? Sorry, we're not quite done.
My first convention was a convention so I grew up near Washington, D.C. in Virginia, and my first convention was a convention called CastleCon, which I don't think exists anymore.
Okay.
But it was in the D.C. area. It was either in Arlington, Virginia, or it was in D.C. proper. But it was called CastleCon. And then there was another con called EveCon, which happened at New Year's Eve. So those were my first cons, and then I think a Star Trek convention.
I love that. That's delightfully nerdy. The last one of the people I have spoken to not too long ago for Origin Spotlight, they were telling me that EveCon was one of their first. I don't know if it was the same convention.
Right. Maybe there's more than, that's kind of a common name, and that was pre-internet, so you couldn't even check, right?
Bonkers.
You call it EveCon in DC, and someone could have EveCon in Portland, and no one would know.
Mm-hmm. When I hear EveCon, I think
strongly worded letter.
Cease and desist, please. Yeah. I always think of EVE Online like that horror. It's not a horrible video game. It's just, it's a very busy video game.
Yeah, I've never indulged in that one. It looked like if I get involved playing in that, no one will ever see me again.
You won't. I tried it. Yeah. Not only do you spend time while you're sitting at the computer when you're not actively playing the game, there are things for you to do on your phone to contribute to the game.
Oh, wow.
It's so much. It's so much. And for those who love it, shout out. For those who don't, I realized I completely forgot to, at the end of the show, I like to do a little thing where I just ask a series of questions, just really silly questions related to conventions and your experiences.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first question was, what was your first con? And you've answered that. And I am ultra excited that this is your first Origins, because
it is.
Yes, this is going to be so many people's first Origins.
So this will be the origin of my Origins experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If we can get one more O in there, that would have been just mwah. When you go to a convention, what is your preferred shoe wear? Boots, sandals, Crocs, or sneakers?
Boots.
I have a feeling.
I wear police boots. They're the most comfortable boots ever because they're made for walking the beat. So they're made by Bates, and they're either military. I think the military wear them, and police wear them, and they're just really comfortable.
Damn, I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah,
but you strike me as a boot person,
Yeah, and I wear cowboy boots too, but I usually don't wear cowboy boots at a convention because they're just not as comfortable.
Valid.
You'll get tired quick.
Do you ever dress up your feet with like cool socks then? Since like if you're in boots all the time, how do you have like what is that jazz up moment? Is it like avocado socks?
Oh, well, you'll never know because you'll never see my socks.
That's gonna remain a mystery.
Right.
Excellent.
I got to keep some things mysterious, you know?
This isn't a tell-all. How do you sustain yourself in terms of hydration? Are you a water person or a caffeine person?
Water, water, water.
Respect.
Coffee at the beginning, and then maybe in the afternoon, one more coffee to keep that thing rolling. But other than that, lots of water.
Heck yes, hydro homies. What is your preference, tokens or meeples?
Oh, tokens.
Really?
I'm a late bloomer with meeples. I like meeples, but I'm more of a token guy.
Meeples have the effect of being cute and visually edible. Not physically edible, but they look like you can eat them most of the time.
I
And
mean,
that has
if
a
they
beautiful
were
appeal.
edible, maybe that might pull me over to the meeple side.
Well, hey, if you ever make a board game, edible meeples.
Yeah. You'd have to keep replenishing. Oh my God, that's actually brilliant because then you'd have to replenish the meeples every so often. And that's, anyway.
I gotta keep coming. Yeah, yeah. Have you ever volunteered at a convention?
Yeah. I have in early days. And that can be rewarding and also extremely tiring. So I am always in awe of the convention volunteers and try to be as kind and patient as possible with them because I know some people aren't, you know, and I know that if someone's there volunteering at a convention, that means that they love the convention, that they love whatever the genre of the convention that it's about, you know, that they love fandom, that they love the convention enough that they want to be a part of the volunteer staff, and that is, you know, that can't be saluted enough.
Seriously. No, that's
shout
fantastic.
out to the volunteers.
I've enjoyed that most people who attend conventions I found have volunteered in the past, and I think that's really lovely. Everybody's got that foundation.
Yeah.
What would you rather? 10 hours of a board game or 10 hours of a tabletop game? Tabletop RPG.
Yeah, 10 hours of an RPG, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's easier on the eyes a little bit. You're not straining to constantly stare at the board or,
That's
you know.
true. Yeah, unless you're in a really long combat, but...
Oh, gosh. I don't look at my moves right until it's before my turn. I'm not looking at my page. There's so much time in between.
Right.
What is one thing that you always get at conventions? Dice, t-shirt, travel mug?
Yeah, usually a t-shirt, or I'm a t-shirt guy. I love t-shirts, so I'm always changing them out, getting.
Do you go for a certain style or just like whatever that really catches your eye?
Whatever catches my eye, you know what I mean? Like it's got to be something unique. But then I'm like, oh wait, am I going to get the t-shirt that everybody else got? And then I get like t-shirt remorse. Like, did everyone else get this t-shirt too?
Oh my gosh.
And dice. I can't get enough dice.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, my car got broken into and my dice got stolen.
What?
All of my original dice.
Oh
well,
my
because
God.
it was in a bag, right? It was in a leather bag.
Oh.
So they were just like, oh, let's just grab this. And they probably were like, ha ha ha. What the hell is this? You know? But so all of my original dice got stolen, like my original D&D dice from the 1980 basic D&D set.
Oh no.
But I was able to replace
Some.
a lot of it, and a lot of dice companies actually. I tweeted about it, and so many dice companies sent me dice. It was incredible. Fantastic. It was so nice. So now I have more dice than I know what to do with. I have my own line of dice. I have a D20 from Norse Foundry, and with that glows in the dark. And
oh my goodness!
So yeah, I'm definitely a dice person for sure.
A dice goblin, as they say.
Yeah.
I prefer to have at least one set of dice in every room that I'm in.
A die guy.
A die guy. Hey, that rhymes. Oh goodness. What is your best form to carry all the things that you get at a convention? Fanny pack, suitcase, briefcase, wheelie suitcase?
I've got like a backpack and then a suitcase too. So
oh gosh. You know what? Yeah, You're carrying a lot of things, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then final question, dream panel. What would that look like and what would it be about?
Oh gosh, dream panel.
Yeah, like if you could
Um,
see folks, professionals, whatever that might be, talking about one topic that you would just love to consume.
well, I'd love to be on a panel with Jeremy Crawford from D&D and give him and so that I could ask him directly why lizard folk speak draconic in 5e. That's been my beef with him. So I'm
That
going
is
to find
so
him at a
funny.
convention one day and give him some grief about that.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for answering all those questions. I feel like I've learned a little bit more about you, and I hope that you find all of the dice that your heart desires at Origins Game Fair.
I'm sure that I will. And I can't wait to be there.
Yes. Until then, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next week for another episode of Origin Spotlight. Until then, thank you and goodbye.
Bye bye.